There is a finding in cancer research that sounds backwards the first time you hear it. In laboratory studies, when researchers had animals go without food for a short time before chemotherapy, the healthy cells did something protective. They powered down and shielded themselves. But the cancer cells couldn't. Cancer cells are built to grow no matter what. So in those lab studies, the same chemotherapy became harder on the tumor and easier on the body around it. Researchers call it differential stress sensitization. And it's why fasting during treatment went from a fringe idea to something studied at major cancer centers. In that foundational work, short-term fasting made 15 of 17 cancer cells lines more vulnerable to chemo. Now, that's laboratory and animal research. Let's review how that has translated to people. So here's what we're covering. First, what the evidence actually shows about fasting during treatment, the strong parts and the honest gaps. Second, and this matters most, who should absolutely not try this because for some people it's genuinely risky. And third, if your team gives you the green light, how it's been done in studies and how to make your eating windows count. Let's start with how it works because the mechanism is the interesting part. Intermittent fasting isn't a diet in the usual sense. It doesn't tell you what to eat, it's about when. You go for a set stretch without calories, then eat in a window. There's also a stricter research version called the fasting-mimicking diet, a low-calorie, plant-based plan run for a few days, which is what several cancer studies have used under medical supervision. When you go without food, three things drop: your blood sugar, your insulin, and a growth hormone called IGF-1. That's insulin-like growth factor 1, a signal that basically tells cells grow and divide. Healthy cells read that drop as conserve and repair, and they downshift. The theory shown in the lab is that cancer cells can't downshift because they're stuck in growth mode. So the protective gap between your normal cells and cancer cells widens. Now to people. The most consistent finding in human studies is that for patients who are well-nourished to begin with, short-term fasting around chemo is safe and doable. Beyond safety, there are some early encouraging signals. In small pilot, patients who did short-term fasting had less of a drop in their blood counts and their immune cells recovered from chemo-related DNA damage faster. In another study, patients reported better quality of life and less fatigue during the cycles when they fasted. Now, the largest trial so far is a really instructive one, 131 patients. And it taught us something important about people, not just about fasting. A lot of patients in the trial struggled to stick with the eating changes, even facing a serious diagnosis. Changing how and when you eat and trusting that a short, safe stretch without food could actually help is genuinely hard. But here's the part that matters. For the patients who were healthy enough to fast and actually stuck with all of the fasting cycles, the results were striking. They had better responses on imaging, more tumor shrinkage under the microscope, and less DNA damage to their immune cells. Now, overall, the trial is recorded as missing its main targets because many of the patients were unable to stick with intermittent fasting. But the documented results of the people who followed through are hard to ignore. There is also a survival signal worth knowing. In a sub-analysis, advanced triple-negative breast cancer patients who added the fasting-mimicking diet to chemo lived on average almost twice as long as those who didn't. While this was from a small study, it's certainly an impressive number that deserves further investigation and consideration. Okay, now the part I need you to hear most clearly, because this is where fasting goes from interesting to be careful. Fasting is not for everyone in treatment. If you're underweight or if you're dealing with cachexia, that's the muscle and weight wasting that cancer can cause, then deliberately eating less is the wrong move. It can push you toward dangerous muscle loss, and that's linked to worse outcomes and harder treatment. Furthermore, the major European clinical nutrition guidelines have expressed concern about people that take fasting too far and over-restrict, leading to malnutrition risks. One more, if you take medication for blood sugar, fasting can drop it too low. That's a real risk, and it's worth flagging to your team before you change anything about when you eat. So who may consider using intermittent fasting? Generally, it's patients who are well-nourished, holding their weight, and are otherwise well enough. If this describes your circumstance, it makes sense to have a conversation with your medical team to determine if and how it can be incorporated into your treatment. I want to hear from you on this one. If you're in active treatment, has your oncology team ever talked with you about whether your eating pattern, including anything like fasting, is safe for your situation? Drop a comment. Your experience helps someone earlier in the process. Now, if you're in that well-nourished group and your team is open to it, here's the practical part: how it's been done and how to eat when you do eat. In the studies, this wasn't an open-ended starvation plan. The short fasting research had people go without calories for roughly a day to a couple of days around the infusion. The fasting mimicking studies used a defined low-calorie, plant-based plan for about 5 days. All of it supervised by the research team. I'm describing what researchers did, not handing you a protocol to run yourself. The right version for you, if any, is the one your team designs around your treatment. And here's the piece people miss. Fasting is only half the equation. What you eat in your eating windows matters just as much, maybe more. Those windows are your chance to protect your muscle and keep your nutrition up, which is exactly what guards against the risk we just talked about. That means enough protein and nutrient-dense food, not just whatever's easy. This is where the NutriLiv app earns its place. You tell it your diagnosis and treatment, and it builds evidence-based food guidance around your eating windows, so your meals are working for you. So let me pull this together. Fasting during chemotherapy is one of the most interesting research stories in cancer nutrition. The laboratory science is genuinely compelling. The early human studies say it's safe and feasible for the right patients, and a few small studies hint at real benefits. Here's what the research supports. If you're well-nourished and holding your weight, short-term fasting around treatment appears safe and may help. And it's a reasonable thing to raise with your oncology team. And here are the clear exclusions. If you're losing unsafe amounts of weight, are underweight, dealing with cachexia, or on medication for blood sugar, this is probably not for you. Talk with your care team if you are in active treatment. They're the only ones who can tell you whether your specific treatment changes the math. Tell me below, what nutrition question do you most wish you could ask your oncologist? We'll tackle the top ones in future episodes. If this helped, please subscribe and share it with someone who's navigating treatment right now. Everything we discussed is linked in the description.